In this video, we are going to introduce how to configure server zone and its below settings such as groups, policy, and schedule. Server zone are virtual partition of the physical LAN side of the controller. Similar to VLAN, they can be separately managed and defined, having their own user landing page, network interface setting, DHCP server, and authentication options, security setting, and so on. We will do the example with setting server zone for staff. So first, we are going to log into the interface. Go to server zone. In this case, we are going to create a server zone for staff using. So click server zone 1. Enable the server zone 1 and change the name to staff. And we set VLAN tag to 1 as default setting. So if you need to change the IP range for the staff user, here's the DHCP setting that you can configure. Also, if you need to change the IP range for your AP, then here you can do it in assigned IP address for AP management. So you just type in start IP address and type in end IP address. Then here's the IP range for your APs. Also, we enable the authentication. And for this case, we only use the local authentication database, so we disable the rest. Once the configuration is done, we click Apply. Okay, once Apply is done, let's go to the group configuration. And we use Group 1 as example. Change to staff. Since we only use the Group 1 and Policy 1 for the staff server zone, we disable the rest. And right here, we choose Policy 1. Click Apply. Okay, once the group is done, let's go to Policy. Policy Configuration. Choose Policy 1. And we change the name also to Staff. Choose Firewall 1, Privilege 1, QoS 1, and Specific Route 1. And click Apply. Once the policy configuration is done, let's go to Firewall. So in this case, we want to create a firewall that abandons the user from using Facebook during the working time. So we click Firewall Rules, Add, and type the name ban Facebook, and the server zone for staff, and the source IP we choose IP address for any kind of IP, and as for the destination we choose domain name, and we type in www.facebook.com. And now we doing the configure for the schedule. Choose block and recurring. So we choose a working time. For example, Monday to Friday, and from 9 o'clock to 6 p.m. And click Apply. Okay, once the configuration is done, you need to enable the setting. Now the status shows enable. So once the status is enabled, let's move on to the privilege setting. In privilege setting, you can see password change. And the password change is the function that you can change the password you prefer once you log in. And the maximum concurrent section is to limit the user section number. As for the disable timeout for this group, we choose enable to prevent the idle timeout disconnection. And the rest we set as the default setting and click Apply. Okay, once the privilege setting is done, let's move on to the QoS setting. And in QoS configuration, this is the setting that you can limit your users' usage of the network. For example, we set maximum 5 Mbps and click apply. Let's move on to the next specific route. As for the specific routes configuration, if you don't want to use the default gateway IP, you can choose your own IP as default gateway. But in this case, we just use the default gateway as the default setting. And the next, we go to schedule. In schedule, you can choose in what time you want the user to use the service zone. So in this case, we only allow the users use in the weekday, not instead of the weekend. So we disable the Sunday and Saturday. For the weekday, we allow the user to use the internet for 24 hours and click apply. And the setting is done. So let's do the final check for groups, configuration, staff. Okay, so all the setting is done. Thank you for watching.